Hey folks, Flyover Bob here. I'm sitting out here with my wife at the gym here in Wisconsin. She's in doing her daily workout. The gym is not closed, although they are experiencing social distancing and mask wearing. Anyway, I wanted to talk about a big issue in America right now, and that is supposable systemic racism. This is going to be very controversial because I'm going to tell you folks some stuff that you actually don't want to hear, especially my fellow black Americans. The percentage of white racists in this country has dropped significantly in the last 20 years. My guess would be it would be around 0.05% of the population is racist. And those are your ignorant white people who really want to blame somebody else for their own stupidity and their poor decision-making processes. The deal is that there is way more racism in black America than there is in white America. I mean, and we've seen this for decades. I mean, I can remember when I was in school in the 70s, the racism that ran rampant on the bus system in St. Paul. I mean, we were forced to take city buses after some years after they did their busing issue in the early 70s, and then they went to the city bus because the city didn't want to pay the money to have people bused from poorer neighborhoods into the neighborhoods with a little bit better school systems. So they made us take the city bus. So what you would have is you would have these black individuals that would fill the back of the school bus up, or the city bus up, and they would harass the other people on the bus, and their persona would be the classic hood rat, the classic verbiage that, these hood rats use, and then they get pissed off when you call them out on it. The thing is if you want to be considered a serious individual, you need to act like a serious individual. You can't attack people in groups of 3 to 5, against one person who probably couldn't defend themselves to be against one. And this is what they do. And that persona they've been labeled with that persona over the years. And the problem is that these are the people that we see on a daily basis. These are the attitudes and the activities as white people in society that we see. So a lot of your white people have labeled the way people act in those scenarios and situations as to that is a black person. Well, that is not true, obviously. Obviously, it's not true. The classic line from a white person is I've known many black people that did not act like that. I had a supervisor when I was in my 30s who was one of the best supervisors I ever had. Black gentleman, but he knew his shit, and I learned a lot from him in the job that I was doing at the time. He taught me many, many things, and I actually worked at one of the businesses in the Twin Cities that was burned down, Seven Sigma. And I worked for this gentleman, was my supervisor, and he was one of the best teachers I ever had as far as a supervisor teaching me my job in that company. And he was a good guy, And I remember him telling me, we had a truck driver come in one time, and he was a delivery guy. I don't know if he was a truck driver or not, but he come in, and it was a black gentleman, and he come in, and he was doing the whole, the whole, verbiage of your supposed, black man. And this guy called him out on it. And he told him, he said, you stand there, you talk like that, you look ignorant as hell, and you make the rest of us look ignorant as well. You are the poster child for our people. And it's a sad scenario, he said, because that's not what we are. The majority of us are hardworking and articulate people that do not speak or act in the way that you're speaking and acting. So stop, because you embarrass yourself and others. And I mean, it floored me. It floored me when he did this, because it was out of the blue. And it was, I just happened to be working in the area. I was not involved in the conversation. It was just him and this other gentleman. And it was, I have to say, I hope it lit a fire under that guy. I really do. And my thing is that we don't hear from these people except on, some of the social media sites. We don't hear from Black Americans who are hardworking and self-motivated and have done the things in life that you need to do to get ahead and become a productive citizen in America. And I'm going to explain to you why that is. Because they're at work. They're not sitting at home. They're not trapped in a system that's trying to keep them down. They've worked their way out of that system. They've gotten to where they're productive members of society and are making their own lives better financially and economically, and specifically, they're raising families. They're teaching their kids other things beside what they were taught. And that's the whole thing, is breaking the cycle. I call out my fellow Americans who are Democrats and have been hooked into this Democratic system like I was. I was hooked into that Democratic voting system, and it did nothing for me whatsoever. They just kept me pinned down. I didn't learn my lesson about it until I was almost 50 years old, when I went back to college and got a degree, and it's, sadly it was too late for me. A few years later, I became physically unable to work, and that's where I'm at right now. But sadly, because of the narrative, growing up in a single parent household, my ma was the only one, and she was a tough gal, but she wasn't my dad. She just wasn't my dad. My scenario was a little different. My dad didn't leave. He passed away, and my mother, dealt with her 3 children from her first marriage, then got remarried and married someone who, that marriage didn't work out. We'll just leave it at that. And that marriage didn't work out. So she ended up with 6 kids, and she couldn't control any of us, because of course she needed to work and she needed to deal with the scenario. So we were trapped in the system. So I grew up in the system that many of my fellow Americans, black, white, Hispanic, and every other race in this country, because we are the mixing pot, have been trapped in for decades. The best I can say is let's give Trump a positive chance. Get rid of these demagogues that are just not doing anything for you and haven't done anything for you. They make you the same promises every 4 years. They make you the same promises. They come out with the same racist bullshit lies, and then they finance these organizations they're just stirring up racial divide and many other divides in our country. racial, sexual, gender. I mean, they just, whatever divide they can come up with, that's what they throw out there, and they throw as many of them out there as they can in an election year, hoping to tear this country into pieces, and then collect a winning percentage of those pieces. They do it every 4 years. Actually, they do it every 2 years, but their major effort is every 4 years. I mean, come on, folks. Give Trump a fair chance. Give him a fair chance. Elect some Republicans at the local level, at the state level, and at the federal level. Give the guy a fair chance. I guarantee you that you are going to see results if you do give him a fair chance. So, I ask my fellow Americans, my black American brothers and sisters, please vote for Trump. Like the man said back in 2016, what do you got to lose, man? I mean, look at what you've gotten so far. Now you've gotten 2016, they elected him president. He's done more without any assistance from the Democratic Party, absolutely none at all. They haven't passed any legislation that would assist you in any way. But Trump has come out and done some executive order stuff that has helped. It's helped. I mean, crap, he financed some black colleges for decades to come, when in the past 20 years those colleges have had to fight, scratch, and scrape and beg and plead to get the financing for their colleges to keep the doors open for black individuals. Stop letting these people control your lives and your narrative. Let's get everybody educated and working. I see these guys out here on the street, these black men, and they are some of the smartest people I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they're quick-witted, they're intelligent, they're clear thinking. The problem is the path that they choose, and they use all of those energies to do things that are not socially acceptable. If they used half of the energy that they use in these nefarious endeavors, they would be some of the richest people on the face of the planet. Thanks, folks. I know I'm going to ruffle some feathers. I am not a racist. I am a colorist. I believe there are bad people of every nationality and race. And those are the people that I tag with that word that nobody wants to speak, who is not black. That word has a definition, and that definition has nothing to do with color. Flyover Bob out. Have a wonderful day. God bless you. Trump 2020.